Hello, Concordia University Irvine students. Welcome back to MHA 525, week 5. Congratulations, you are technically halfway through the course. What I would like for you to do now is kind of take your hand and then give yourself a pat on the back. Congratulations. This is a tough course, isn't it? Uh, and I know some of you are very intimidated at the beginning of the course, and maybe some of you are still a little intimidated now. But the truth is that you've got an entire month under your belt, and you are no worse for the wear. The important part is that you have to grapple with the information. You have to grapple with the concept. I know you're not going to be a master of healthcare finance and accounting at the end of this course, and that's okay. But there are some topics and concepts that you are supposed to get from this course that will help you both personally and professionally, but you will never get them if you don't grapple with the concepts. So please grapple with the concepts. You know, college provides a safe space and a safe proofing ground for you to work out these types of issues. Imagine if you were given a balance sheet or a profit and loss statement on your job, and your boss or your boss's boss says, here, analyze this and answer these questions, or here, should we go in this particular direction? Should we do a financial outlay? And you're sitting there with the profit and loss statement, with the balance sheet, and you have no idea. Well, if you do those same things here in this course, you got your balance statement, your profit and loss, your statement of income statement, statement of change of owner's equity. This is a safe space where you can work that stuff out. That way, when those types of assignments and projects get put on your desk in the real world, you know, you've got something there in your toolbox that you can use in order to help you figure out what the heck you're supposed to do as it relates to solving some of these complex problems, as it relates to the scarcity of finance, the scarcity of revenue, the opportunity costs with making one decision at the expense of other decisions. Okay, I'm going to step down off of my soapbox right now. In week 5, we'll have an introduction into strategic planning and capital budgeting. Okay, so now the so-called kid gloves are off right now, and we are in big girl and big boy concepts when we talk about strategic planning. You know, when I worked at Healthcare Partners, and this was years ago now, maybe even 15 years ago, and at the time, well, Healthcare Partner was ultimately purchased by DaVita, and then DaVita sold it to Optum. And so now what used to be Healthcare Partners is now part of Optum. But at the time I worked there, Healthcare Partners was the largest ambulatory organization in the state of California. And I'm saying all of that to say is we had strategic planning and capital budgeting just like every other organization. So our fiscal year started in February, but around November there was just almost ritual, if you will, that managers and department heads would start to go through getting their budgets together, getting, their requirements together for the next fiscal year. And it would almost be like the company would come to a standstill there around November, December, and maybe even in January, just getting through that strategic planning and capital budgeting process. And then lo and behold, by the time February 1st hits, then, we're hitting the ground running on a brand new fiscal year with a brand new mandate. Now, usually when we talk about strategic planning, we're looking at windows of anywhere from 5 to 10 years, and usually on the latter side of that. But what Healthcare Partners did is that even though we would annually go through that capital budgeting and strategic planning process, the executives would look at the strategic plan in 3-year windows to make sure that it was still calibrated to keep up with all of the constant rapid changes that go on in the healthcare space. And then just kind of a funny rule of thumb here, at Healthcare Partners, and really by extension, any company that I've worked for, the kind of unspoken rule is that always ask for double what it is that you want, because the executives will likely cut it in half. So if you want a $250,000 budget for your division or your department, then you'll ask for 500,000. They'll cut that in half, and you'll end up with the 250,000 that you need. And then just another kind of, I guess, quirk, if you will, as it relates to budgets and capital budgeting, and we'll talk more about this in our live session on Wednesday, is that you're at the end of that budget process around November, December, right? And you still have money left over from the previous budget, then you're going to have to spend that money, because you don't want to have a budget surplus or a budget shortcoming at the end of your fiscal year, because ultimately that could affect your budget for the upcoming year. And actually, I did some consulting for CareMore. Some of you may be familiar with CareMore. That's part of that's part of Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Now, there's been a lot of changes, but one of the things that we did kind of at the end of my tenure there is we had a whole bunch of money left over, and it was intentionally left over from our budget, but that money was used to upgrade the system. So what we did there is we used the surplus from the previous year and issued one set of purchase orders. And then once the budget got approved for the new fiscal year, we used that money to issue a new set of purchase orders. So we were able to do a system upgrade that spanned over 2 budgets because of the timing. And those are kind of unique things that managers and directors and the C-suite, anyone south of the C-suite, if you will, have to do in order to manage that. So sorry about that soapbox there. So your devotional journal this week, where you will discuss how being a strong business leader and a good Christian are not mutually exclusive. Your readings for this week will be chapter 8, 14, and 15 in healthcare finance. Really good article there on accountingtools.com, question and answers. And you're going to use that in conjunction with your exercise. And then there's a quick reference guide for FTE. That stands for full-time employee, as opposed to a consultant that is not a full-time employee, unless you are a full-time employee and your title is consultant, or in my case, senior consultant. We do have a virtual session this week. It is an odd week. So week 5, we will get together and do some deeper dives into analyzing financial statements. We'll also look ahead for some module assignments and some group project assignments, particularly as it relates to depreciation, working capital, and analyzing current assets and liabilities. You do have a discussion board due in week 5, where you will begin to discuss the importance of capital budgeting and strategic planning in healthcare organizations. And then you're going to be asked to support your analysis with evidence from the textbook or peer-reviewed journals. And you're going to now have a team assignment in week 5 where you'll get together with your teammates and you're going to address specific topics as it relates to your week 7 presentation. And so by now you have done the individual work. And when you come together as your team, everyone has a similar starting point, meaning that you've done your individual research. So you should be bringing experience, knowledge, and information to the table. And then as a final thing, I may have addressed this already, but I think it's worth repeating how important team assignments are and how closely I monitor team assignments. I mean, it is, if you're not participating in team assignments, if you are not responding to your colleagues, if you're not communicating to your colleagues, if you are not participating artifacts and knowledge to the team assignment, that's not going to be a good thing. It is something that's near and dear to me, and I don't leave students hanging there when they are in those team assignments. So if I get any feedback there where you're not keeping up with your end of the bargain on the team assignment, that will be reflected in your grading. So please be a good teammate, okay? And work with your team in order to get the deliverables done so you can have a very successful team project and presentation in week 7. God bless you. I look forward to connecting with you in the live session on Wednesday at 6 p.m. And I look forward to reading your discussion boards and reading your assignments.